Welcome, spiritual hustlers, to 53 Days of Mindfulness with xoandhustle, presented by Self Hired. I am so excited to have you here. We're about to spend the next 53 days together sharing and dropping knowledge on how to bring spirituality to your grind so you can balance your growth with your hustle. This series is based off the Mindfulness Deck, an actionable 55 card deck designed to take you on a journey of self-understanding, healing, and habit building. The Mindfulness Deck is now available for pre-order at xoandhustle.com. And remember, I love hearing your breakthroughs, so make sure you join the conversation online at xoandhustle on Instagram. All right, let's get into it. Today's episode is brought to you by Delush CBD. Delush is a holistic lifestyle company that infuses hemp CBD into your favorite wellness and skincare products. Since we're all about love and good vibes, Delush CBD products are thoughtfully curated with non-toxic ingredients and are cruelty-free. Every product is handmade with all that love and good. You can use the discount code xoandhustle for 15% off your next order at delush.ca. Hello, my loves. On today's episode of 53 Days of Mindfulness, we're talking about how being honest starts with number one. It starts with you. On this card, you will see a woman who is completely naked with a mask in her hand. And she has this innocent little smirky smile on her face. And she knows that she's still wearing a mask, even though she's been stripped of all her clothes that she would normally wear to cover herself up. Okay. Look, in order to be truthful with anyone else, we have to be truthful with ourselves first. When we're not truthful with ourselves, we present ourselves with what we call a mask. A mask is essentially like a false reality representation of self that we either use to protect ourselves from others or from the outside world. When you're honest with yourself, I mean like brutally honest, you can see through the facade that you've created and you know where your truth is. I personally used to hate being honest with myself, and at times I still do hate it a lot, because once you know better, then that means that you have to do better, or at least that you know that there's the space to do better. When I'm honest with myself and see through the mask that I've been wearing, I know that I can no longer be that version of myself because I'm not living in my truth. And ultimately, I know I'd rather live in my truth than in my lies. So the bridge here is recognizing that the same way I check judgment at the door for other people, I owe myself that same grace. We have a really hard time being honest with ourselves because I think that it roots in shame and judgment. But you best believe that you've had to have been the people or the versions of yourself that you were before this present moment in order to even arrive in this present moment. And there's no shame in that. You can't judge what you don't know because you don't know what you don't know. Okay, so how are we going to actually check our judgments at the door and take off our masks? Okay, well, I love questions, as you know. So ask yourself, where do I feel the most authentic? Where am I wearing a mask? By simply asking this to yourself, like, odds are you're going to end up like sparking someplace in yourself where you know where you're being real and where you're not being real. One of my favorite online teachers is Gabby Bernstein, and she wrote a book called The Judgment Detox. One of my favorite lessons that I took away from that book was to witness my judgments without judgments. And I really believe that we put on our masks so that we either protect ourselves from judgment or the judgment of others, which essentially is still judgment to ourselves. So when we give ourselves that space to not be judgmental, then we have the chance to see why we were swimming there in the first place. That means we have the chance to get to the bottom of it. So after you release your judgments and you've been sitting with them and you're not attached to them anymore, you create the space to invite love and compassion into the picture and navigate the emotional landscape differently. So how do you do this? Okay, well, one, you got to be aware. You got to be aware of what your judgments are. So first, spend a day mindfully just noticing them. Legit, just pay attention when you feel a judgment come up, either about yourself or about somebody else. You'll know this because your body chemistry will change. And at the end of the day, I want you to go home and I want you to take out your journal and write, like literally draw a line down the middle of your journal. And on one side, I want you to write what am I judging? And on the other side, I want you to write why. And literally just go ham. Start a timer, do it for 5 minutes. And when you're done doing all that, I want you to start a new page and ask yourself these questions. Why am I judging myself here? Where am I being dishonest with myself? Why does putting this mask on make me feel safe? Or why does putting this mask on make me feel unsafe? And what would happen if I showed up as my true self without this mask? Now that one's hella important, okay? Because that one's gonna help you get into higher alignment with yourself. These questions are some good questions to start helping you reveal why you're building up masks to protect yourself in the first place. If you want a list of these questions, I have written them out for you at xoandhustle.com. And until next time, today, your Don't Mind My Hustle affirmation is, may I take off the mask and live in my truth without judgment. Continue strengthening your intuition offline by pre-ordering the Mindfulness Deck at xoandhustle.com. If you enjoyed this episode, subscribe and share with all your friends so you can all bring spirituality to your hustle. Until next time, keep being the spiritual hustler you already are.